so strong again. I feel
Yo, I just made y'all motherfuckers listen to that shit twice over. What do you call 12 millionaires sitting around a TV watching the NBA Finals? I don't know, a bunch of deadbeats? Bunch of retired deadbeats that need to be taking care of their kids? I don't know, bro. What's the answer? What's good, y'all? What's good, man? What's poppin'? How's everybody doing? Yeah. We got a lot of shit to get into today, man. We got a lot of shit to get into. The Knickerbocker. Yo, how much is a flight to get to you, bro? How much a flight costs? I'm about to check right now. I'm about to check right now, dog. I'm about to check how much a flight costs to get to you, Mr. Elijah. I promise you, motherfucker, I'm on Delta right now. I'ma find you and we gonna have a conversation. Here, let's go book a trip real quick. That's foul. That's foul. Your goddamn Toronto Raptors ain't doing shit neither. Your goddamn Toronto. Yo, it really be your own, bro. Is that the kind of community I'm making? Is that the type of community I'm making where I get cooked? It's okay, man. I can take it. We're good. But I'm still looking for a ticket, though. I'm still looking for a ticket. That's foul. That's foul, man. That's foul. Oh man, hey, I think that's the best start. That's a Friday vibe. That's a Friday vibe if I've ever seen one. Let me turn this shit off and let's go get this shit started, man. Fuck. Hey man, welcome in. We got another episode of the Jayson Estrera show today, where we talk about basketball, sports, and any other topic that comes our way as accurate as possible. And like I was just saying earlier, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. A lot of shit happened in like the last 24 hours, dog. Like mad shit happened, or the last 48 hours. So we're going to talk all about that. The vibes are good. At least that's all I can ask for in Toronto. No, the vibes are good. I honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. I'll give the Toronto Raptors that. I think y'all are a vibey team. That looks like a vibey group. And not for nothing, they're in Toronto. So they're probably in the cold. They're at home with the Za. So, like, you feel what I'm saying? They're probably chilling up there. Like, they probably staying home, chilling, playing video games, kicking it, going to practice, like, what's happening? I bet you that's the vibe every day for the Toronto Raptors. And hey, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad. And they got better. But like I said, we've got a lot of shit to talk about today. And we'll start with honestly, I want to start with Draymond Green. I'm not gonna lie to you. Hey, first and foremost, I think this is the first episode in no bullshit like 2 weeks where we're not gonna be talking about Jimmy Butler. Unless something comes in, like unless there's breaking news right now, my phone is on silent, so I'm not gonna see that shit. Unless something happens, I pray could we get a day without having to talk about Jimmy Butler? Like what the fuck, man? Like that guy's he just will not shut the fuck up. But I wanted to highlight this. This was from the matchup. I think it was last weekend. I think, right, when the Washington Wizards took on the Golden State Warriors and obviously Jordan Poole and Draymond. But Draymond just responded. I'm going to make sure I update you. Please don't. Please, honestly, Elijah, no bullshit. You can keep that to yourself. You can keep that. Like, what the fuck, man? But let's take a look at what Draymond Green had to say because he finally responded to Jordan Poole. So let's watch this real quick. My volume.
I love those guys over there. I love most of those guys over there. And, really good group, really good staff.
It's comedy.
Shout out to the fans.
I really am sorry. Why did you respond to that? I responded because, like, it's been 3 years. Like, let's move on. Where's the love? We moved on. Like, we're supposed to move on, man. I really am sorry. Right.
Like,
It was that statement was kind of like it was looking for some sympathy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I kind of keep wanting to make me out to be the bad guy. Move on, bro. Like, it is what it is. I be kind of going back and forth with this on, like, I'll be kind of in between on certain days, like, yo, I know I was wrong, but you can't call a man a B word and push him and not get hit either. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I kind
That's a
of,
cold
like,
word.
you know what I'm saying? I kind of sit in both of those spaces sometimes. And, like, the reality is, the answer is probably somewhere in the middle, right? Like, I shouldn't have knocked him out like that. If anything, I should have hemmed him up. Kind of was just a natural reaction. So
Actually, I wanted to bring this part up, right, because I thought this was funny. So Draymond in that part talks about how, it looked like he was looking for sympathy. And I got a lot to say about the both of them, but I will the fact that Jordan Poole laughs, the fact that Jordan Poole smirks when he says I love most of those guys, I think does validate what Draymond Green said right there.
Really good group, really good staff. Shout out to the fans.
I really am sorry.
See, so he said I love those guys.
I love those guys
most
over there. I love most of those guys over there. And really good group, really good staff.
You see how he smirked right after?
Shout out to the fans.
You see how he smirked after? Dre is a born bully. He gonna talk about move on, stay double down and talking about it. And I think that's where it is for me, right? Like Draymond Green. I hear what you and Baron Davis are saying. I hear what you're saying. But you punched the guy. You don't get to dictate how long it takes for him to get over it. Or how long it takes or if he don't want to be friends with you. You don't get to dictate that. Your say in that relationship got thrown out the window with that punch. Like, you can't. And then the fact that he adds at the end, I shouldn't have knocked him out. You doing the same thing that Jordan Poole was doing in that moment. You didn't have to add that part in there the same way Jordan Poole didn't have to add, I love most of those guys over there. And here's the funny thing. I could even defend Jordan Poole. Because it's been 2 years since he's been on that team. And granted, the core and I bet the staff, a lot of those guys are the same, but they're not entirely all the same. And that could have just been why he said that. Now, like I said, he did smirk, so I think he was referring to Draymond Green, and it was unnecessary in my opinion. But Draymond gets to be the bully, right? He gets painted to be this bully, and I get that he gets painted to be the bad guy. That's what's going on in Draymond's comments. Well, I get that Jordan Poole may have called you a bitch, but I could imagine the amount of people that have called him a bitch after that situation. It's got to be a lot more. And so to try to shrug off everything that happened, Jordan Poole ended up in a situation where his confidence was shattered. He probably didn't even want to leave the Warriors. And so you put all of those things together, This is a man that's going through that and dealing with that. And you don't get to tell him, oh, you just got to get over it. Like, that's just not how it works. Even if you feel like that, you can't dictate how that works for that guy. And, you know, to your point, Elijah, he keeps bringing it up. He keeps doubling down. Like, I respect it to an extent, but at the same time, it's like, bro, come on now. The Warriors missed JP. That's why they got CP3 and Dennis, and neither work. Yeah, neither of them. I was watching a episode of Gil's Arena the other day, right? And they were talking about the Warriors situation and how Buddy Hield is not Klay Thompson. Buddy Hield is a great three-point shooter, but he doesn't strike fear into people the way Klay Thompson did, right? When, you know, especially during their run. And now they've put him to the bench to put Dennis Schroeder in as the guy on the ball to take Steph off of the ball. So essentially, right, they were saying, all right, so you put Dennis at point, so now he's Steph Curry, and now you want Steph Curry to be Klay Thompson, and now, you know, all of a sudden no one is in the right position. Right? Now you want Jonathan Kuminga in the Draymond Green role. Like, nobody is in their right spot playing their role properly, and that's why they can't maximize their talents and what they do well, because none of them are comfortable right now. They're all out of place, out of position. Dennis Schroeder should be coming off of the bench. Steph should be playing with Buddy Hield. I think Andrew Wiggins at this point in time, he's so hit or miss, and that the guy that they had when they won the championship, he's just not that guy right now. So I think you insert Jonathan Kuminga at small forward, Draymond Green obviously at the 4, and then Trace Jackson, put him at the 5, and I think that's their starting lineup. God knows how many lineups they've already had this year, but I think that should be their starting lineup moving forward. Have Dennis Schroeder and Andrew Wiggins come off the bench and be the ultra aggressive duo, and then everyone else just kind of plays around them. And I think that's a much better mix where guys are comfortable. Steph gets to play Steph, and, you know, Buddy Hield gets to try to fill Klay Thompson's shoes. And I get that maybe he's not trying to be Klay Thompson, but Tracy Ellis, like why? Yo, like, what type of mood you in today, bro? He called him Tracy Ellis Ross. Like, what type of mood you in today, bro? Everybody getting cooked, and it started with me. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's some funny shit. That is some funny shit. Now, Tracy Ellis Ross, I'm stuck. That's fucking comedy. That's fucking comedy. All right, well, since you want to clown, let's go talk about these All-Star Game starters, because you're not about to like what I'm going to say. So they announced the NBA All-Star Game starters yesterday. And we'll start with the Eastern Conference, right? Because I think this makes it a lot easier. I'm not even going to lie to you. So let's start with the Eastern Conference. So for the Eastern Conference, we have Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Karl Anthony Towns, Jason Tatum, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I'm not going to lie to you. I personally, I think the Eastern Conference starters are, that's as good as you're going to get. And what I mean by that is, I think they got it right. I get that it's fan voting, and there's like they break down the percentages, right, on how the votes It's 50% fans. Current NBA players and media are 25%. And where the fuck does the other 25% go? who the hell decides the other 25%? But Brunson, Mitchell, Cat, Tatum, Giannis, I think that's perfect. I guess I get that you could argue, right? I could see someone trying to argue for, like a Jared Allen, for example, maybe as a starter, or a Darius Garland. Those 5 guys are on their teams. They shoulder most of the load, right? So I think that's extremely valuable. And 4 of these guys, actually, even the Milwaukee Bucks, take a look at the standings real quick. The Milwaukee Bucks are 4th. So all of these guys are on winning teams. So you're having great play with great team success. I think the Eastern Conference starters are perfect. You should do All-Stars versus Snubs for All-Star Game one year. You trying to start a fight. I see what type of vibe you on today, Elijah. You just want to see motherfucking scrap. You might as well have them in an octagon and put a basketball hoop on each side just so they could, once they start scrapping, it's all good. Like they should have done that when Damian Lillard was getting snubbed every year. He would have tried to walk Steph Curry down. He really would have. But for the Eastern Conference, I think that's really great. Off the bench, take a look off the bench. I think Darius Garland is gonna have to get in there. What does Jarrett Allen's stats look like? Jarrett Allen. What does his stats look like this year? Stats 14 and 10. How many blocks? I think you could make a case for Jarrett Allen. Excuse me. I'm sure there are other players. I think Cade Cunningham deserves to get in there. With Trae Young, I think those need to be your 2 guards. Who else? Jaylen Brown. I don't think KP gets in. Bam Adebayo has been dog shit. I'll be honest with you, bro. I don't know. Like Paolo Banchero got hurt. There's just a lot of like little what ifs that you get when you're looking at the Eastern Conference side. So Serge Ibaka versus Joel, slaps only. Draymond versus Steve Nash, kicks only. Steve Nash might actually win that. He plays soccer. Yeah, Cade 100%. If he don't get in, that's a problem. 100%, that's a problem. But I did have a lot to say about the Western Conference starters, right? So for the West, we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic, Kevin Durant, and LeBron James. See, the way I look at this, right? The only 2, in my opinion, that are undeniably guaranteed when it comes to the Western Conference starters are Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic. I think everyone else you have to make a case for. I'll be honest with you, Elijah. I think Tyler Hero has played at an all-star level, but someone would have to come off. And when you start taking into account the team success, does he get in over a Cade Cunningham? Does he get in over a Trae Young, who's having an unbelievable year this year? Does he get in over a Jaylen Brown? Darius Garland. There are so many names that start to come up. even off popularity alone and just pure people just want to watch him play, I don't even think he would get in over a LaMelo Ball, right? I think that would be who he would have to battle for that spot essentially. But there's a ton of guards on the East that I think that'll have a good shout. About to sneeze, bro. Ugh. All right. I saw he was doing decent, but haven't looked. Yeah, I think he's been playing really well this year. Despite all of the shit going on over there, I think he's been playing extremely, extremely well. Is it enough? Personally, I don't think so, but he's been really good. Now, as I was saying, for the Western Conference, to me, the only guarantees are Jokic and Shea. Hold on, let me blow my nose. Oh my God, my allergies just started kicking my ass. It's not COVID, dog. It's allergies. I'm sneezing. I'm not even coughing. All right, so Jokic and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander to me are the only guarantees for the Western Conference starters. Now we get to the nitty-gritty, right? I think LeBron James, for obviously his age and for his legacy, he has to get in there. But even if you take that part out of it, right? I personally think that he should be battling Kevin Durant for this spot. And when you look at Kevin Durant versus LeBron James, I believe Kevin Durant has played 33 games. Let me double check it right now. Let's see. He has played 33 games to LeBron James's 39 games. LeBron is currently 23.6, 7.7 rebounds, 8.9 assists. And KD is 27.2, 6.5 rebounds, and 4.1 assists. But the problem is, when you look at the standings, the Lakers are 5th and the Suns are 10th. So between Kevin Durant and LeBron James, LeBron gets in. Right? So now that leaves us with Steph Curry and the spot that Kevin Durant had taken. Right? I don't think Steph Curry's played at an all-star game starter level this year. I get that he's had his moments, right? He's had some good games. That game against Klay Thompson and the Mavericks was massive. They had a hot start to the year, the Warriors did. But they've really trailed off. And when you look at just his numbers and impacting winning, 23 points per game, right? Let me just make sure that's what he's actually averaging. 22.6 points per game, 4.9 rebounds, and 6.3 assists. For you guys to end up 11th, to me, is not good enough. So who should that spot be? Who should take that spot? In my opinion, I think it should be James Harden. James Harden has not only been available, right? That's 41 games to Steph's 36. He is leading the Los Angeles Clippers with Paul George leaving, Kawhi being hurt. 21.2 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, and 8.2 assists for James Harden. And they are, let me double check where they are in the standings, and they are 6th. They are 6th in the standing. Yeah, I knew you'd like that one. I knew you would like that one. Um, and obviously, right, when it comes to the starters, Luka has been injured, so he probably would have taken a starting spot. I think Kyrie has been very good, but a starter, I don't know if he's played at that level and impacted winning at that level to be the starter. They've, trailed off ever since Luka had left. If his game had upped and they started winning a whole bunch of games, he's leading the charge. I get that he also was hurt for a little bit too, but that counts, right? Well, whatever the reason was, you weren't there, so you weren't able to impact winning positively and also add to the stats. So unfortunately, I think he now has to fight to be one of the bench guys in the All-Star game, but to be a starter, I don't think Kyrie gets that. Now, the other option for the guard, right, would be Jalen Green for the Houston Rockets, right? Because they are the number 2 team in the West, right? 29-14. Jalen Green is averaging 21.3, 4.3 rebounds, and 2.7 assists. And, I think, I obviously said Harden, right? But I think if you were going to do, Jalen Green would be close, and I think Jalen Williams from the Oklahoma City Thunder would be a close shout also. For me, the thing that separates Jalen Williams from OKC and Jalen Green from the Houston Rockets is the fact that Jalen Green, even though he can kind of lean on Sengun, he has more of the responsibility of the offense than a Jalen Williams does, in my opinion, even though J-Dub has been unbelievable this year. I think he should be a lock in the bench. But, I personally do want to what's the word I'm looking for? We want to celebrate winning, right? And I get that there are instances, and there's going to be one soon. There are instances where you can argue, someone who's not on a winning team or in a winning situation, but I think I do want to congratulate winning, and I think Jalen Green is a great shout, and so is J-Dub from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Cade versus Green rivalry for the next decade. That is another one, right? That is for sure another one. So, the Kevin Durant spot, right? So, here's the thing, right? When it comes to the Kevin Durant spot, that's the power forward or a big, right? And there are a couple names. Oh, I also wanted to shout out Norman Powell. I don't know if he's gonna end up being an all-star this year, but I think in terms of the guards, he needs at least a shout. I think he at least needs to get highlighted. Does he get in over a Jalen Williams or a Jalen Green? Personally, I don't think so. But he definitely deserves credit, and I think he definitely deserves a shout. So now we get to the bigs for the West, right? If it's not Kevin Durant, then who will it be, right? Anthony Davis is one, right? Anthony Davis, I think, he gets shit on for missing games, but he's played 39. He's played the same amount of games as Bron. 39 games, 25.6, 11.8 rebounds, 3.5 assists. How many blocks and 2.2 blocks per game. So Anthony Davis, obviously, a great shout. And then we were just talking about Jalen Green's running mate, Alperen Sengun. 19.2, 10.5, 5 assists. Unfortunately, I think his numbers aren't enough But I do think he deserves to be in the conversation because he is impacting winning in a positive way. And, you know, they win by committee over there in Houston. So I did want to shout out Sengun. And then the next two players are going to be two players that are on the lower end of the standings, right? And that's Domantas Sabonis, the Sacramento Kings, and he's averaging right now 21 points, 14.4 rebounds, and 6.2 assists, and half a block a game. And granted, the Sacramento Kings are ninth. They are not very good right now. And honestly, I feel like between this year and last year, and he didn't get in last year, I feel like he probably was playing better last year, I'll be honest with you. So that makes this a little bit tough. But the last one is Wemby. And if it were me personally, right, I think you put Wemby in the starting lineup. We could talk about winning, but he's a second-year player leading the team. So compared to all of the guys on this list, he doesn't have nearly as much experience as any of these guys to impact winning as much as he can. And when we run through the list of those bigs that we just named, even if you throw Kevin Durant in there, right? Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, Domantas Sabonis, Sengun. Oh, I don't want to miss. My bad, guys. I also don't want to miss Jaren Jackson Jr. I think he definitely ends up being a reserve, but I don't want to miss Jaren Jackson Jr. No, Jokic is guaranteed. Yeah, I don't even think you debate Jokic being in the starting lineup. Jokic is like we don't even mention that part. Like nobody debating Jokic. Nobody's debating Jokic. But in terms of those bigs, right, for the second spot, right, in the starting lineup, Anthony Davis, Sengun, Sabonis, Jaren Jackson Jr., who else did I name? And Wemby. Out of all of those names, outside of maybe Anthony Davis, no one else is going to be contending for an award at the end of the year other than Wemby. And when you think about someone that's a defensive player of the year, sometimes people look at that player like a specialist, right? Right? Like Wemby would be, in the past, he would kind of be considered a defensive specialist. Well, that specialist is also averaging 24.8 points per game and 10.8 rebounds to go with 3.8 assists. And he is leading the league in blocks at 4 a game. I think he is a great candidate to where we could kind of disregard the record because of how young he is. And I think the starting lineup for the West should be James Harden, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, LeBron James, Victor Wembanyama, and Nikola Jokic. I think that should be the starting lineup. I think Kevin Durant, unfortunately, gets edged out. And also Steph Curry. But that, to me, should be the definitive starting lineup for the Western Conference All-Stars. But it's unfortunately not. And, I think I'm really curious as to who gets in for the reserves. That's something I really want to see because there are a lot of names in the West. There's a lot of names, and there's a ton of names like a Ja Morant who hasn't played at an all-star level that won't make it even though his team is in a really good spot. And I wanted to talk about this too, right? Anthony Edwards. how in the hell, Anthony Edwards, are we having an all-star game conversation? And you're one of the most popular players in the league. And I can't definitively make a case that you should be an all-star game starter. The real Dambe. Jay, what up here talk about? Let's see the sneakers. The sneakers in the back, brother. The sneakers in the back, brother. We talk about sports. We talk about basketball. But, you know, I think for Anthony Edwards, it's a real shame that he's not at least in the conversation, in my mind, to be an all-star game starter. And, you know, he doesn't even have the excuse that he's missed games, right? Because the Minnesota Timberwolves right now are 8th. They're 23-21, right? And granted, his numbers don't look bad at all. 26.2 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, 4.3 assists. He's played 44 games this year, which means he's been there for all the ass whoopings. Like, he doesn't even have the excuse like, oh, I wasn't there, they getting their ass beat without me. No. He was there for all the whoopings. So him and this, oh, I'm a shoot more 3-pointers and do this and that. He hasn't progressed in terms of impacting winning. I would almost rather him stat pad. I would rather him go down the floor every possession and try to drive and get a shot up every time and try to score 34 points per game, because the team is fucked. And so at this point, he needs to be getting his and practicing being in all of those different scenarios, in all of these things that he's going to encounter later on in his career. But unfortunately, now he just gets to be an all-star game reserve. And I know he's already going to be like, oh, I'm 23 years old. So, you've been in the league for 5 years. Like, what are you talking about? That's you can only have that excuse for so long. You are that good. And so I think it's real unfortunate that we're not here having the conversation that says it should be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with Anthony Edwards and Bron and Wemby and Jokic. Like, that's what the conversation should be, but it's not. I think he'll obviously make it to the reserve. He has a big name. His numbers look good, even though they're not in a spot to really win right now. Their team is not very good. Like I said, I think he'll make it, but he should have aspirations that are beyond just, oh, let me just make the All-Star game. You should be trying to be a starter. You should be trying to be in the conversation to be the MVP. Like, all this, oh, I'm 23-year-old bullshit, like, you got to throw that thinking out the window, bro. You got to throw that out the window. Let me see those fragments. You don't want those fragments. You know, it's funny. I seen Angel posted something on one of the Facebook posts, is like his 2019 infrared sixes. I was like, yo, trade me. He was like, I need the bread. So yeah, that didn't fall through, but I would have traded him. But let's move right along, and we'll talk about, you know, we'll see what happens with the reserves. But I did want to talk about the press conference that took place yesterday that Adam Silver was holding before the Paris games. I don't watch basketball. I'm just listening to. Hey, no funny shit though. I appreciate you, Don. I appreciate you, because that really do help. I appreciate you, dog. But there's obviously been a lot of conversations about growing the game this year, about where the game is heading towards, and I think Adam Silver tried to shed a little bit of light on what's going to go on, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on it in just a second. So let's take a look at what he had to say.
Europe continues to develop some of the very best players in the world. Many of our most recent MVPs, of course, are European. We think that the commercial opportunity has not kept pace with the growth of the game. We are looking very closely to see if there's an opportunity to professionalize the game to another level here, to create a larger commercial opportunity.
Adam Silver is a trash GM. The NBA should require 2 years of overseas or college basketball.
We believe
the one
that
and
with
done
markets, if you can create a proper incentives, you can get significant additional investment, and ultimately that's the way to grow the game at all levels. So that's what
Brandon.
we're continuing to look at right now. But I think what we're hearing is that when they look at the success, I'll say soccer just so I don't.
So just a little bit about what he had just said earlier right there too. And then I'll respond to what you had to say in a second, Brandon. You know, they've spoken about having conversations on potentially opening a league in Europe or whatnot. And personally, I don't think they should do it yet because they still have things in the NBA that they have to fix. And I think what Adam Silver was saying is the market. What he's trying to say there that he said in a lot of words is we feel like the European brand of basketball would benefit more from this than we would benefit from going there. That they would be able to put their imprint on Europe and on the game over there in terms of growing it. And he talks about that more in a second. And he doesn't believe that they get enough in return. So, Adam, this got y'all talking about it. Adam Silver let Durant go to Golden State. Stern never would have done that. Adam Silver has destroyed the NBA by giving the players all they want. He thinks he is growing the game. Nah, he is growing the pockets of players with no guardrails. And that is what he gets into in just a second. So let's hear what he has to say.
Because that's what we call it in the States. When they say that's the commercial success of soccer, and then they put their other hand here and they say that's where basketball currently stands. And so when we look at that opportunity and these potential partners do as well, what they're telling us is they believe that from a commercial standpoint, in terms of the networks they represent or are part of,
the other way. He's too much of a
those consumer companies that they represent, that they think there's a desire to connect with consumers, particularly young consumers. Of course, we represent the best basketball, and with the WNBA, the best women's basketball. But it's
he's going to get to what you guys are just talking about.
And I think that's something that comes up in many of the meetings, that there's a strong association with music, with fashion, with culture, with art. And I think there's a real appreciation for that the NBA is even something a little bit different than basketball. This is pure basketball. And I think the way to grow this sport is to appeal to people beyond those who are hardcore basketball fans.
And you know, he laid it out right there at the very end for you guys, right? About when he has these conversations with investors, right? They love the NBA. But a lot of those conversations have everything to do with NBA, the lifestyle brand. And that's what he was talking about. The NBA and basketball are almost, in 2025, they're almost two separate things. And I think that's where the frustration comes from a lot of fans, like you guys are talking about. Referees have been worse every year. Toronto won a chip under Commissioner Silver Egg. Maybe he is a cool guy. He do look like a spoon, no bullshit, and a thumb. The refs aren't the problem. The game is so much faster now. The officiating isn't as good because the game is so much faster. No way load management is treated softly. NBA games also don't have enough flow. Teams have too many timeouts, and the challenges take too long. I will say Olympic games flow better. All-star games have become trash. Dog. I love it. I love it. The NBA should have a separate ref reviewing the calls. The process would be faster and more independent. You know, that's right there, Brandon. That is the thing that like bothers me, because when they do the call to Secaucus in the middle of the games, how is it possible that you're calling a studio that has all of the angles damn near immediately, and it still takes 10 minutes to make a decision on a call? Like, what is the point of the studio? Like, what is the point of the phone call to the studio? And I think, to your guys' point, the timeouts, I think it feels like there's more timeouts because of the challenges. And I think the game has been flowing quickly. And if you take out the challenges, honestly, and we see the game play out the way that it's supposed to, I don't think the viewing experience will be as bad. I'll be honest with you. Right? And how the ref's not the problem. These dudes go on the mic and try to be funny during games. The NFL has expedited reviews. The NBA is behind the curve. And granted too, right, for the NBA, it's new, right? Like we do have to give a little bit of leeway because it is new and they're still trying shit, right? So it does take time. Hopefully they can continue to make the process faster if they keep the reviews, even though I personally think they can go without them. But it really does take a lot of time off of the game. And, you know, I think Adam Silver has done a great job of growing the game in terms of financially. And, you know, he talked about Joe Dumars a lot in this press conference. I think he needs to do a better job of getting basketball guys in positions to make real decisions that can impact the game in a positive way, because this isn't what Adam Silver does. He loves basketball, but he has an interest in growing the game financially and globally as a brand. And so with that, he needs to be able to put people in place that are NBA and basketball guys to be able to make decisions. They have to verify, agree together, see possession time, etc. There is a lot to look at. No, there is, Elijah. But like I said, they're calling a studio in Secaucus, New Jersey. That it's not one person in that studio. The NBA is a multi-billion-dollar industry. I'm sure they are throwing a bunch of useless motherfuckers in there. And you're telling me that 3 guys that have all of the camera angles can't make a call? That's ridiculous. Refs should get jobs because of the merit. It's clear that the obsession with having a female ref on every crew has led to lower standards. The standards should be the same for everyone, male and female. I mean, I'm not trying to get into like a gender war thing, Brandon, but we have Scott Foster who literally, like, Chris Paul sees him and it's an automatic L. Like, I don't think it's a gender thing. I think it's just referees across the board. And maybe it's the way that they teach the referees, right? The NBA likes longer reviews because they get more ad breaks. The process is absurd. Oh, no, that's absolutely why they do it. Adam Silver hasn't done anything. The game has grown mostly because of the development and interest of China. It's not anything Silver has done. That and gambling. Gambling has done a lot. NBA athletes do not care about the game anymore. All they want is the lifestyle. I'm glad you said that, Bruce. I'm glad you said that because he did address that
I would say,
And I wanted to bring that up. This guy Don, you just here for the mess. I'm here for the gender wars. Hey man, I've also realized that people getting canceled on the internet is not a real thing. The motherfuckers pop back up a couple weeks later, so I guess we'll be alright. But let's take a look at what Adam Silver had to say on fixing the game of basketball.
I would say analytics call it takes sports, and to your point, it's not unique to basketball or the NBA, takes sports in a certain direction because it's a coach's and a general manager's job to win. They're not necessarily focused on the aesthetic appeal of the game, understandably.
And I'm going to pause it right there because I think that goes to your point, Bruce. And that's something I think us as fans do. We miss that, right? General managers, coaches, and players day to day are worried about winning basketball games. And if the analytics department says you got to do certain things, which they'll touch on in just a second, and that's what they tell the coach, that's what the coach tells the players, and it's the power and command, right? It goes one after the other that tells everyone what to do, and they think it's conducive to winning, and they are not necessarily worried about the aesthetic of the game. That's why there are a lot of instances when players retire and they'll now have a different perspective on the game, because when you're viewing it as more of a fan or like an analyst, it's totally different from when you're in it playing the actual game. The NBA also has no real testing for PEDs. LeBron is a prolific PED user, and he and other players almost never get caught. I mean, we've all heard that rumor, but I mean that at this point, without any proof, that's all it is right now, is a rumor. So I don't really know what to do with that. What do you think about basketball players purposely messing with the parlays for their own gain? That guy is banned from the NBA. That guy is banned from the NBA. And so is the referee that was betting on games. He's banned from that shit too. All right, so let's take a look at this.
And
right
it's our role, and working here, Byron Spruell and Joe Dumars and Evan Wash to work with our competition committee and say, all right, we have to balance these in.
It's not a rumor. LeBron had a tumor surgically removed from his face in his 20s. What? So are you saying because of that he was... Are you saying... Well, I'm saying that the PEDs is a rumor. Are you saying that's why he got on PEDs? Few fans noticed the growing lump on LeBron James's face in the 2009 playoffs. Wore on last spring. I actually don't remember this. But what does that have to do with the PEDs though, Brandon? That's the part where I get confused. LeBron had a tumor that came from abnormal growth of his cells in his 20s. Are you saying that tumor is proof that he was taking PEDs? Is that what you're saying? Or did he take PEDs to recover after? I mean, the tumor was definitely from his jaw. Is definitely a real thing. I actually don't remember that. I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna look more into that, Brendan. But yeah, the PEDs thing is where that's where I get confused.
That they're going to operate under our rules, just as we saw in baseball, and do everything they can to win under those existing rules. And then it's on us if we need to make adjustments in those rules, because we're also looking at the aesthetic appeal of the game. I think in the case
The head of the
three-point shooting, it's
Biogenesis
absolutely
organization,
that
Tony
the analytics have
Bosch,
taken
also
teams in
stated
certain
that
directions, to
LeBron
the
was
point
his
where
biggest client,
one
and Rich
aspect
Paul
in particular
picked
that
up
concerns
that
me, and
product.
I've heard this directly from some players, that when you get to a point where something,
I have to take a look at this,
a great
Brandon. I'm
player
gonna have to
feels
take a
a
look
bit
at this.
unnatural, and in certain cases, in that category, I would put necessarily a shot that they would otherwise take, that the coach is saying that's a bad shot because your word efficient. It's not an efficient shot to take that two-pointer. Having said all that,
LeBron also lost massive amounts of weight ahead of the 2015 season when the NBA started testing
the other
for
thing I've learned, and this also came
HGH.
directly from
Didn't
one of
a lot
our
of players
advisors,
lose
speaking
weight
of
around that
Duke,
time?
Mike
Are you
Krzyzewski
saying
from
all
Duke
of them were on
University, He's also
HGH?
said to me in our competition committee,
I don't
be
think it
careful
was
not to
just him.
overreact. I mean, sometimes as adjustments happen, teams may swing a little too far in one direction and they may pull back. I mean, one example maybe is the Boston Celtics. We're an all-time high in three-point shooting in the league, and those numbers are coming down already now midway into the season.
So he talked about a lot of shit right there. He talked about a lot of shit right there, but I think the thing to really take away was, one, that these athletes and these coaches are more invested in winning during when they're in the shit, they're in the league, they're not worried about how the game looks exactly. And I think the other part that he had said there towards the end was, when the analytics impacts the game to where players are now making unnatural plays. We see day in and day out, guys will get into the mid-range and kick it. They'll be wide open, and they'll kick the ball to the corner, or they'll kick the ball to the opposite wing. You see it day in and day out, and I think Adam Silver right there just confirmed that this really is something that goes from the top down, right? That this is something from the management, the analytics staff, that they relay this information to the coaching staff, and now they have to tell their players to do it. And it's created more unnatural play, which obviously we don't want to see. LeBron lost nearly 50 pounds. AJ says, Brandon just sounds like a LeBron hater to me. People want to hate on greatness because they are bums themselves. AJ sounds like a fanboy. What is going on right now? AJ, you have no argument against any of the facts I stated. LeBron's body changed massively in Miami too. His head and body changed significantly. He gained massive amounts of weight and muscle in a short time. Massive? When he went from Cleveland to Miami? Like, massive. I don't know. I would have to take a look at that. I mean, the surgery thing is definitely real. Definitely real. But LeBron losing 50 pounds, are you saying he was close to like 300 pounds back then and went down to 230? Because I promise you he's not 230. I promise you LeBron is like 240, 250. Like right now. But yeah, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. But I think in a way still, right, Adam Silver is addressing these things, and I think right now it's just a waiting game to see if anything actually gets put into action, and I think that's what we're waiting for right now. Yes, massive. LeBron was playing the fours in Miami. He played different positions. He plays the four now. LeBron was 240 when he came into the NBA. In Miami, LeBron was over 260. But 20 pounds ain't that crazy. You could gain 20 pounds by accident. Like, that's just not a smoking gun to me. And like I said, there was a lot of players around that time that were losing weight. So, and I guess you said earlier there was a lot of people getting away with it in the NBA. So I guess you're saying by that statement, you're saying that a lot of players were on it, not just LeBron. So I'm saying in Cleveland before he went to Miami, he was playing the point. In Miami, LeBron was playing the four more. I'll be honest, Brendan, the guy played the point like his whole career. Like I don't think there was ever a time in LeBron's career where he wasn't playing the point. I get that against the San Antonio Spurs, their strategy to try to take Tiago Splitter out of the equation was to move Chris Bosh to the 5, move LeBron to the 4. They could play faster. Tim Duncan has to play the 5. Now they have Splitter in there, and they got to switch him out because he can't stay with Bron. But I don't know about him playing 4 exclusively in Miami. I mean, he's been a point guard pretty much everywhere that he's gone. LeBron is considered one of his GOATs because of his work ethic and longevity. And listen, I've been on all of those videos too where, athletes are getting accused, and I also understand that there are ways for people to get out of it. But unless we get tests, like, what are we going to do? We can't just keep playing the what if game, unfortunately. Miami played much smaller than Cleveland, did it during the LeBron first time with the Cat. LeBron was guarding much bigger players. I'm not saying... No, I know you're not, but you're saying he was playing like he's always been a point guard, and he's like at 6'9", 260, he's always been bigger than everyone. Like, and I can't even believe I'm saying this because I don't even fuck with LeBron. like that's the funny shit. I don't even fuck with LeBron for real. I will fully admit that all day, every day, 7 days a week, twice on Sunday. But let's move along. Let's move along from the PEDs and the LeBron weighing 295 talk. I want to talk about this San Antonio Spurs Indiana Pacers game, which is obviously the game that took place in Paris. The San Antonio Spurs ended up taking the game 140-110. And I'll be honest with you guys, there was no way in hell the Spurs was going to lose this game. Like, they're just, like, they going to France. Adam Silver got the press conference. Wemby's from there. Like, there was just no way in hell Wemby and the Spurs were going to lose this game. It just wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't going to happen. And they were pretty much stomping these boys out the whole game, I'll be honest with you. Wemby ended up with 30, 11, 6 assists, a steal, and 5 blocks. But honestly, I did want to highlight something about the game because I think it's something that's happened to the game of basketball over the years. Severe cramping. He had to be carried off. Indiana's a broken team. Halliburton isn't the same player he was last year. Pascal Pimpin. See, Brendan, I don't know if Pascal is still nice, but I don't know if it's Tyrese Halliburton isn't the same player that he was last year, or he just caught people by surprise. If you watch Tyrese Halliburton play, he doesn't have a go-to move that he can go to for the 3. I mean, he kind of does. He goes tween, and then he'll do the step back. But the way he sets his shot, his legs are his feet are very far apart. It's more of a set shot. I think he just has a really difficult time scoring consistently in the NBA. And if he's not able to score, I think his aggression lowers, right? Tyrese Halliburton does. And when he's not as aggressive, he's not able to get into the paint and cause havoc and make all of the passes, which is what he did so well last year. And, you know, I don't know if it's a confidence thing, injuries, maybe he's just growing pains. You know, he's on the scouting report more now this year after the year that he had last year. There's a lot of factors that could go into it, but he has been struggling a lot this year, and I mean a lot. Wemby is the next big thing, but Brendan will tell you he gets 5 blocks per game because he uses PEDs. I don't ever think he was who they said he was. Indiana needs more front court scoring too. Miles Turner has a very limited offensive game. He does nothing consistent but shoot threes. Siakam is good, but he's a good second option, not a first. Words like talk about Ozempic destroying lives. It really is. I mean, honestly, the problem with Siakam is that man is allergic to shooting more than 15 times a game. If he would have shot 20 times a game, he would be different. But I think he's actually allergic to shooting more than 15 times in one game, and I think that's the problem. But I'm glad that Miles Turner was brought up, because I think this is a problem that we're seeing with the NBA. Ever since the game shifted from everyone plays below the three-point line and everyone plays beyond the three-point line, everyone plays this spread offense, and everyone wants to shoot three-pointers, I think the natural way that players play basketball now goes away from the basket, right? And I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. And I think it's something that, you know, people think it's just the three-point shot, but you see the bigs, the bigs right now do not go towards the rim as they should. Miles Turner is a 7-foot tall player, and he has very good touch. And there's a mismatch that he gets into here, but he doesn't take advantage of it the way you would like someone to take advantage of it. You are overrating Siakam. He's not a good enough shooter or the three-point shooter to be an efficient, high-volume scorer. I think he's an extremely efficient mid-range scorer. And taking 15 to 20 shots a game doesn't just entail someone shooting a bunch of shots. I think him going to the basket, his spin move is deadly. His Euro step, I think, is solid. I think he would benefit from taking more shots. And I think his team would benefit from him taking more shots. He is a good scorer, and I might overrate him. If you watch him, Brendan, when he does decide to take over 15 shots, it's like 28 plus every time. Now, like I said, to be able to do it consistently is another thing. But, you know, it's just, I think he just, like I said, I think he's allergic to it. Do you think John Moran is going to make a comeback? He's just hurt a lot. He's just hurt a lot, Don. That's the only real problem with him. He's just hurt a lot. But I think that team is really good, and I think he's still really good. He just needs to be able to play. He's played like 22 games this year or something like that. So if he's healthy, he's good. But I wanted to take a look at this and what Miles Turner was doing.
Now it's be guarded by Wembanyama out to Siakam.
So obviously here he has Harrison Barnes on him. And he's obviously in the paint, so he can't stay in here for too long, right? He does a fake, dribbles left towards Wemby, and goes up for the shot. And he makes it.
Inside, and it rolls.
That has been a problem for
this happens again here with Wemby. He catches the ball, jump stop fakes, and then instead of... See, like, this is the thing. A lot of the bigs nowadays, they don't look for the contact on offense, right? And this was something that I got taught growing up when I was young. If you're dribbling the basketball, right, don't go east to west. Try to get downhill, right? Always try to take up space going downhill. And the same applies inside for big guys and in the paint, right? And I'll show you guys in a second right here with you know, Jokic and other players. But you have to take that space away. Look at this. He made this.
Out to Siakam.
Imagine he did one dribble and got into Harrison Barnes' chest. That means his feet would be right outside of this circle.
Smashes all over the place.
Instead, he goes towards Wemby instead of forcing Wemby to have to come towards him. He's just not. His goal is not to get towards the rim. He plays more away from the basket.
Turner, the big man, inside, and it.
Levine would fit. Indiana does need a third scorer. Levine would fit Indiana. Levine and Butler would fit well on the Pacers. I'll be honest with you. I don't think Jimmy Butler fits on the Indiana Pacers at all. I think that is. I think that would be a massive mistake. I think that would be a mistake. If you thought, I'll put it this way. If Jimmy Butler thought that Karl Anthony Towns was soft, I would hate to see what he thinks about Miles Turner. I would hate to see what he thinks about Miles Turner. T-Rex arms be holding down Memphis. No Levine and Indy. Too many light skins. Jimmy too goth. Bro scored and complaining. But listen, he's not making a consistent play right here. And I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. If you're a big with Harrison Barnes, Miles Turner is 7 feet tall. 7 feet tall. And Harrison Barnes is maybe 6'7". And he put up some bullshit. So here, let's take a look at this.
That has been a problem for the Pacers to be able to guard is, Wemby in a pick and pop situation.
Shot clock is down to 5.
Peace, Don. Peace, Don. I appreciate you, dog. I appreciate you, dog. I'll catch you later, brother.
Howard going it off.
Dwight Howard was a person that also did this a lot. And that was why he was getting complaints when it came to other bigs, because for someone as strong and as physically dominant as Dwight Howard was, he was the same way. Instead of punishing guys and backing down, he always made moves and he would try to get around players. So he was another one that was guilty of this, and he scored a lot on it. But I think he would have scored even more and gotten easier buckets if he wasn't doing this shit all the time. Compare that to Joel Embiid. Imagine he would have tried to go away from the basket in this situation.
An outstanding competitor.
Go towards the basket. Punish Pascal Siakam little ass. Like, this is what the big should be doing. It's consistent play. Look at Jokic. Look at Jokic. His angle is never veering away from the basket. It's always going towards the basket. Because that is consistent. And even like a Tim Duncan was a lanky guy, and he was also another one. He had the little running hook shot that he used to shoot. But again, this is Serge Ibaka, a good defensive player that people will probably say is probably stronger than Tim Duncan. But again, his objective is try to get towards the rim, because you get consistent results. That's why Miles Turner don't go in the paint, because he don't know what to do. Like Robert Horry's 6'10", and Tim Duncan is just frying him. I think it's just the way that basketball is played and taught nowadays is everyone wants to make a move, right? Everyone wants to do the dribble to the left, right? They want to do the hang dribble. They want to do hezzies. If you see Shai Gilgeous for Alexander, for example, right? When he gets it, he's just going. It's not a lot of I'm gonna do inside out hezzy. No, he's just going. Ibaka was a very good help defender, but he struggled to defend stronger players in the post. That's how the Lakers won in 2020, is with their bigs. AD had been begging for a center to play with. Duncan in his prime before he had foot injuries was a top 5 all-time player. Yeah, I mean, Tim Duncan was different for sure. Yeah, see, you feel me, Hugo? You feel me? Yeah. So, I think that's just a massive difference. Some people forget how good Duncan was before he had the plantar fasciitis. Facts. Makes sense. Yeah. you know, it's just about being consistent. And if try it outside the next time you go play basketball. Try it outside. If you're just consistently trying to get around someone as the defender, that benefits you. Right? Because the big guy is not trying to get towards the rim. They're not taking up space. You know, in some of these situations, they're going towards the help defense. You know, they're going towards the help defense. And I think something that gets lost in today's game, everyone wants to shoot jump shots, right? What makes jump shooters so effective, especially off the dribble, right, are when they're trying to get to the rim, right? There was a point in time where I thought Russell Westbrook possibly had one of the greatest mid-range shots I had ever seen in the game. And it had nothing to do with, oh, he got a bag. It had nothing to do with his ball handling. It had everything to do with when he drove towards the basket, you were in fear of him trying to get to the rim. So when he was able to stop and pop, right, he was always open. Michael Jordan was the same thing. So athletic, so strong. When he tried to get to the paint, it opened up the mid-range. That's why if you see a lot of Michael Jordan highlights when he does a pull-up, he's open because guys are in fear of that. Shai Gilgeous is the same thing. Shai Gilgeous isn't physically imposing, but he always puts his head down trying to get to the basket, so it opens up the mid-range, right? Bet you Timmy wouldn't be able to post up a San Antonio woman like that, all East and West. Rick Carlisle does know how to use frontline players. He didn't use Porzingis properly. Carlisle just wants his frontline players to shoot threes, not post up. Carlisle just had Porzingis shooting threes in the corner in Dallas. Yes, his midi has always been different. I started mimicking it. Yep. And I wanted to take a look at this because I think this ideology, and I'll show Steph Curry at the end here, this idea of trying to get towards the basket and being aggressive going downhill, it helps three-point shooting as well too, but we'll take a look at it in terms of the mid-range right here.
39. Westbrook, the 15-footer. It rattles in.
The big isn't even trying to step up. The big is not even trying to step up. Just scared of him getting down there. Mind you, there were 4 guys in the paint, and they still don't want him to get anywhere near there.
Open for 2. Alexander, who's been getting the ball the beginning of each of these drives, takes it, makes a fake on Ingram.
Look at Shai right here, right? They are in fear of him getting to the rim. Trey Murphy, I think that's Trey Murphy, he gets all the way to the other baseline to try to help out, and that's what makes this step back. Look at how much space he's able to create against a 6'10" Brandon Ingram.
Makes a fake on Ingram and gets it to go. What a move, and a good-looking
He had to step all the way to the other side just to try to help him out.
Clearly knows his role. It tells me he's not
right here, Rozier gets sent flying again. No move. He just hit him with the move. He just hit him with the little You know what I'm saying? Porzingis and Luka didn't get along. Yeah, that was reports. Turner is limited offensive player. Carlisle doesn't know how to use him either. Shai plays basketball like football drill when you walk around. Yeah, he really do. I feel like he walks players down. That's the crazy part. Like, you let this man walk you down. And, you know, some Michael, right? Like, guys are helping out. The other guy was completely retreating. It opens up the mid-range. And the same thing could be said for the three-point shot, right? Like, everyone talks about this highlight for Steph, right? He broke down Kawhi Leonard without the ball. The reason he was able to do it is because if you make the mistake, Steph Curry 10 out of 10 times will cut back door, and it creates that opening.
Splitting a pair. Curry around Kawhi Leonard. He lost it.
Right, it's not an accident.
Most important part of the game. Golden
And he'll
State
show you right here.
too. They cut their rotation, and so it's very interesting as Curry with a beautiful.
So
cut.
the idea of trying to get downhill isn't just for driving the basketball. excuse me. It has everything to do with being in the paint. And to your point, Brandon, I get that Turner is a limited offensive player. I totally get that. But I think this is a widespread thing to where players now, they've spaced the game out so everyone is on an island and everyone's objective is to win their island. And that means a bunch of one-on-one plays. And let's call it what it is. Guys are more athletic now than they've ever been. So defenders, even the ones that aren't so great, they're just quick and strong still. And, you know, I think guys, when they can't break someone down and they get frustrated, they're like, I'm going to just step back and take the easy route out. Not realizing the type of basketball that they could be playing. Shai is good, but he has had 5 out spacing in OKC, and he's still not a consistent three-point shooter. He's not the offensive player Luka is. Well, Shai is also not. Luka is not the efficient player that Shai is. And, like, everyone plays 5 out. Like, that's not just OKC. That's the funny thing about this, right? Everyone plays 5 out now. There's more spacing than ever. So, in theory, there should be more driving lanes, which Shai Gilgeous-Alexander takes advantage of. And you sit there and wonder, how come other players aren't taking advantage of it, right? I saw someone say, oh, Michael Jordan wouldn't be able to do what Shai does. I'm like, Michael Jordan was stronger, faster, and jumped higher than Shai. And you don't think he'd be able to get into the lane the way that he does. Everyone does not play 5 out. Very few teams have centers that are good three-point shooters. Well, then you just killed your argument right there with Isaiah Hartenstein at the 5 for them. So they play 4 out with Isaiah Hartenstein and 5 out with Chet. And if they play together, then it's 4 out. So you killed your whole argument right there. Right there. Just that fast. Just that fast. Is there anything else that we got to get into over here, man? But yeah, like I said, I think there's been a real shift. If MJ can't do the move Shai does, so what? Shai has had Chet at the 5 most of his career. Isn't Chet like a second-year player? That's a small sample size. MJ's still going to get buckets. No, I didn't. You're talking about 30 games. But like, you're acting like Chet Holmgren stays at the three-point line the whole time also. He's also not fucking, like, what, I'm trying to think of a team. Like, he don't stand at the three-point line the whole game. And neither does this team. The whole Oklahoma City Thunder team, a lot of them try to break down and get into the paint. Shai has only been in this. I think I covered everything right here. Oh. This would be disrespectful, actually. This would be disrespectful. I can't do this. Where is this? I was in and out of watching I'll get off this after this. I was in and out watching the Nuggets Sacramento game, right? I was in and out watching it. I'm not gonna lie, it was getting late. But when I saw that Jokic was having a 30, 20, and plus 15 game, he ended up with 35, 22, and 17. I was like, that can't be right. Like, I said, that can't be right. Like, there's just no fucking way. Like, there's 35, 22, and 17 is insane. That don't even look like a real stat line. Like, like, I would laugh at that. Like, if you're the other team, what do you do in that situation? Like, what do you do in that spot? Do you just laugh? Because this guy, 35, 22, and 17. I mean, 5th straight triple-double. He's definitely trying to answer the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander MVP convo, and he's doing a hell of a job at it. Luka would be just as efficient as Shea if he had as much talent and spacing as Shea does in OKC. I'm cutting in and out. Is it better? Is it better? Is it any better? Look, dog, the Oklahoma City Thunder have a bunch of 22-year-olds. Like, what are we talking about? And not for nothing, some players are just inefficient. It's okay. Like, Luka takes some shit shots. Whether he has Kyrie Irving or the Oklahoma City Thunder team against him, I don't think that prevents Luka from taking some shit shots. Like, it just is what it is. Like, I don't think you change that automatically. Yeah, but you can't downplay what Brunson was doing at that. I was watching those games live. And brother, let me tell you, Jalen Brunson was relieving a lot of pressure off of Luka Doncic. Now he don't have a lot of offensive talent around him. Like, listen, no one's telling him to take a bunch of step back threes from 35, 40 feet. Like, he don't have to do that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, some players are just more prone to take bad shots than others. It's not that deep. like what? Kyrie won before Jalen MVP candidate after KP won. Okay, and who's the third offensive player for the Oklahoma City Thunder? Please tell me that. Oh, can I get a third best offensive player? Chat, he's out this year. Who's it been? And Chet, you counting on a third-year player? You counting on a third-year player? Luka's been good in the playoffs. He wasn't that great last year, but he's been good in the playoffs. Like, it's cool. Like, and listen, I'm not trying to say Luka is not great. I think Luka is unbelievable. I think Luka is unreal. Luka is unreal. I think he probably did outplay Shea in that Thunder series, but I don't think he had a great series against OKC. I don't think he had a great series. I would have to take a look. Let's see. Let's see. So you said Luka outplayed Shea in that series, right? So in that series, Luka averaged 24.7, 8.7 assists, 10.5 rebounds, shot 44.7 from the field, 39.1 from three, 73.7 from the free throw line, and averaged 4.5 turnovers a game to go with 1.8 steals. Shea averaged 32.2 to go with 7.3 assists, 8 rebounds, shot 50.7 from the field, 55% from three, 83.3% from the free throw line, and only averaged 2 turnovers a game to go with 1.2 steals. Listen. I don't give a fuck how many levels he got. He could have 40 levels or 30. This guy is averaging 32 a game on 50% shooting. You're missing the point. That's why he doesn't have the same impact Luka does in the playoff. Luka was getting double much more than Shea. Simply looking at stats doesn't tell the story. I watched the games, dog. And I'll tell you, a part of the reason why the Oklahoma City Thunder were having some success, but then it broke down, was because Lou Dort, to an extent, was doing a good enough job. But then they had to go double. If he were able to do a better job in one-on-one situations against Luka, which the Boston Celtics did last year in the finals, they would have had the Oklahoma City Thunder would have had a much better chance. But he started frying Lou Dort a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. Shai was scoring a lot of his points and blowouts when the team was down 20. Yeah, but you just definitively said that Luka outplayed him. And I get stats aren't everything, but you just said that shit with mad confidence, dog. Listen, I'm down to be wrong. I'm down to look at shit, but you just said that shit with mad confidence. like it. Listen, he had some help. PJ Washington had a hell of a series too. PJ had a hell of a series too. Hey man, 0.7 to 1.5 plus minus. Luka didn't even have the highest plus minus in his team. Derek Lively did. Like, what are we talking about? Like, and granted, for every stat there's a counter stat. No, I get that. But I just, I'm down to debate. I'm down to challenge that. And that's totally fine. PJ Washington scored mostly because of doubles on Kyrie and Luka that opened the corner. It don't take away from the fact that he had a good series and he relieved some pressure from them. Like, like it is what it is. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. They're both extremely good players. Don't get me wrong, but I think they both excel at different things, and it is what it is. It is what it is. Listen, I think that's all I've actually got for today. I think I cleared everything. I think it doesn't matter why he scored. Like, he told me you can't use stats to. Okay, but you can't say you can't just look at stats and then bring up plus minus. Like, you see how backwards that is? Like, you see how backwards that is? Like, bruh. And the Mavericks won the series. And I know they don't tell the whole story. I'm well aware of that. I'm well aware of that. And I never said that either. I never said that either. I never said that either, that you're bringing up plus minuses. Listen. I'm just trying to bust your balls. We're doing the same shit. It's all good, bro. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. You think, all right. I'll ask you this. Who you think should have won MVP last year? And then we'll get off after this. Clearly was better. All right, I respect it. No, I respect it. I respect it. No, I respect it. I respect your perspective. I respect it. I respect that. That's a good answer. That's a good answer. But see, like, and I want to give this as an example, right? I want to give this as an example, right? And I think a lot more people could benefit from these types of exchanges, right? We don't have to agree, Brandon. That's totally fine. We don't have to agree. But I can respect where you coming from. And not for nothing. If I really thought about it, Luka might have outplayed him. I just like playing devil's advocate. And like I said, you just said it with so much confidence. But I respect that. That's tough. I like where your head's at, Brandon. I like where your head's at. Shea's defensive impact was much bigger than Jokic in the regular season last year. Yep, 100%. I think in general too, right? When you're looking at him versus like a Jokic or even like a Luka throughout the course of a year, Shea is just a lot more impactful on defense, and I don't think he gets enough credit for it. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens this year, man. We've had a lot of great conversations at hour 39 today. Jesus Christ. I think it's time for me to shut up and get off, but that's going to do it for me for today, man. Before I get out of here, please like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps the channel out. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating and hanging out with me. Elijah, as always, you're the fucking GOAT. Brandon, I appreciate you for all the comments. We had some great conversations today, and that's no bullshit. I really do appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for that. And everybody else, man, that came in and participated and gave their 2 cents. I appreciate you. Hugo, AJ, Don, everybody. Thank you guys so much, man. Y'all could have been anywhere on the internet, but y'all were here with me, and I appreciate y'all for that, man. I'll see y'all back on Monday. You have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Go turn up, have some fun, relax, whatever y'all got to do. Enjoy, man. Y'all have a good one. Peace, 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 peace.